right, welcome to the Happy Hour Money Podcast. I'm your one co-host, Josh Bennett, here with Isaiah Douglas. Fun episode. Isaiah, you want to kick us off, introduce yourself for those that are here for the first time?
Yeah, if you're here for the first time, first of all, what have you been doing? Check out the other episodes, right? There's lots of good content. We only repeat ourselves about every third episode, but outside of that, it's great content that you're going to love.
Yeah,
right?
there's zero tangents whatsoever.
Yeah.
We always stick straight to the point.
Josh hates Tesla, right? He wants you to own a small business. Isaiah loves Bitcoin, and that's probably about it. I mean,
that's pretty much, that summarizes the past
I think that's
15 episodes.
Pretty
right
darn good, actually.
Yeah.
No, but in seriousness, you had a really interesting idea for an episode that I actually think we'll just kind of have to bounce around and explore. But the idea being that if you were kind of dropped in a city that you weren't aware of, and are we doing no money or are we doing some money? How do we want to frame this for listeners? Because
I think there has to be at least some money. I mean, we could always do no money, but like just to make it a little bit more like. And I guess to set the frame here, there's a show called like Undercover Billionaire, I think is the name, but it's built around the concept of like, people always talk about, the difference between like people that are millionaires and billionaires versus, the average Joe, or you could like, hey, you could drop a millionaire on a corner with no money and no name, reputation or whatever. And then you could, but they didn't have the skill set where they could be a millionaire again, right? So that was the concept behind the show. And I saw the show and watched a whole lot of stuff, so it was pretty fascinating to watch. But the idea is they actually do this with real billionaires. They throw them in like a random town. I think it was like $700.
$700, yeah.
$700. So I thought that would be a cool kind of concept for us to talk through, like if we were thrown in that. So I mean, if we want to just mimic the show, we'll say $700 is what you got.
Yeah, and I feel like we need to know what city we would go to, right? So we have to pick, depending on where you're going to be located in the time of the year. Like if I'm in Miami, in its conference season is very different than if I'm in, Bismarck, North Dakota in the winter, right? Like what I'm selling and maybe what I'm trying to spend my $700 or figuring out a plan might be slightly different. So
I mean, we'll go a little easier on ourselves, and let's say we're not in like Chicago in the winter or Bismarck in the winter.
Yeah, that's good.
We're
first purchase would be a coat, right?
Yeah. We're somewhere like in a temperate climate. Let's say it's Chicago or equivalent city, Indianapolis, community cities, but like, let's say, a city like that in the middle of, spring or summer where it's
busy, it's happening.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in a good sized city. You're in a downtown, $700. You are tasked with trying to get within 90 days, 30 days.
Yeah. The show basically said like 90 days to become a millionaire. I mean, I think for our purposes, I think just, what would you do to get back on your feet and, make let's say even get to making a living, where you're, making good money, etc.
Sure. So I think the first thing is, right, like you have no address or anything else. So you can't actually create a legal business in the United States. So right there, you're kind of out of luck from that standpoint, because you have regulations for all kinds of things where you need a permit for this or that. So my question would be, you have to basically initially start working for someone to start having some form of employment to get the ball rolling, right? So I guess that would be the first place that would start. I think most places at the moment have lots of help wanted signs, so it should not be hard to walk around a corner and find somewhere to pop in and start working. And if you'll show up, you'll probably get paid. So there's an easy start from that standpoint.
So what would you do for like food, shelter?
Well, so if you have $700, you have your ID, but you have nothing else, you have no employment. Shelter, I think, is going to be pretty challenging. I don't know too many landlords or people that are going to allow you to stay there, right? So you're going to kind of have to just be out in the thick of it from that standpoint. So you are homeless at the moment.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I always thought through with this scenario is like, if I were kind of thrown in this position, the two biggest things I would think, if employment is available, right? Whether you're going to get a job at McDonald's or something is the right first step or not, I think that's all a different conversation. But anywhere to be employed, you need to come in fresh and clean and groomed and stuff. Which, having a place to shower, I've always thought was one of the biggest hurdles for, I think this is the case even with people that are homeless currently, is you know, it's not as easy as, hey, just go get a job. It's like, hey, well, I have to have these things to be able to go get a job, or to, you know, quote unquote appear respectable to be employed. So I mean, I think I was like, all right, if I was doing this, I'm gonna need a shower to have employment, whether I'm living on the street or something else. Man, I would look towards like a 24-hour fitness center, like you know, like in San Francisco and Chicago. You know, there's the equivalent of like a 24-hour gym that I think the one I paid for in San Francisco, which is one of the higher price places in the country, was I think $35 a month. All right, so about $700, $35 goes to setting up that membership there. Then I at least always have a place to go and shower. So regardless of where I'm sleeping, have a place to at least be presentable. Yeah, to go. I think either going to get a job, I think it's an easy way to go start getting money. But if I wanted shelter, you know, I think these days you probably find that a lot of sort of used auto shops or on Craigslist, you can find some sort of beater car for, you know, a couple $100. You know, a roof over your head might not be ideal, but you know, for safety, you could lock some doors and have a roof over your head for probably a couple $100. Wouldn't leave you a lot of wiggle room for food, for where you run out of money very quickly from a food standpoint. But yeah, I think at least to get like the basic, you know, sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, necessities sort of out of the way, that's kind of how I would look, is either find a very, very cheap motel for like, you know, $15 a night or something like that, or find a used auto shop that I could buy like a beater truck for, you know, $250, or go to the public library and get on Craigslist and see what's available.
And maybe it's then go and be in a line cook somewhere where you can have access to the food. Not that you're going to steal it, that's not what I'm saying, but maybe there's, you know, access at the end of the night that you're able to kind of take with or whatever to help kind of stimulate that, to just get the ball rolling, to get some payment, but also then have access to some food. That would probably be a good, you know, initial role. So if we take care of shelter, shower, and at the gym, I would imagine you have the ability, you might want to buy a lock, and if you had different clothes, you could kind of store them. I don't know if they'll let you lock something over time, but it could be a spot where you could secure, I guess, some of your stuff.
Yeah, sometimes they'll let you do that. They usually say extra fee or something. But so you obviously, if we have your $700, have to weigh the value there, and kind of, you know, if you have alternative shelter, you know, other options are obviously, if you have friends, family, network that you can piggyback off of for shelter. But I guess we're assuming that, you know, you have no connections, no network. But yeah, and a thought I had with this too is, you know, let's say we're really trying to get back to a position where we're successful and golden. You know, there's a lot of books from back in the day. Like, I don't know if one of the very cliche books is like, you know, Think and Grow Rich, which a lot of like entrepreneurs and
I started it, couldn't read it. He's such a dick.
Oh, he said, yeah,
it's horrible.
It's the most pretentious book ever. But
yeah, it's so bad.
There is one concept that I did think that was really valuable out of it, which is basically, you know, the best way to be successful is be sort of an apprentice to people that know more than you, have more than you, are more successful than you. And if, you know, I think one way of like getting, say you're stuck in the gutter, one way to get out is, yeah, you go work for like a McDonald's or something, like, you know, just kind of work a line cook job or something where you're making money. And there's other ways to kind of then get out of it. But I think that can get you in a position where it's, see, there's a lot of Americans, it gets hard to get out of that. Once you're in there, it gets hard to get out of that sort of momentum. So I thought, you know, I've always had is like, okay, well, if I know I want an end goal, but I know I have to bridge a gap to get there, well, you know, library's free. You know, a lot of people forget that these exist. But if you need a computer, need access to the internet, you can get a free library, right? I would go, I say I was in a city that I didn't know, I'd go look for, say, a company that, or I'd go look, get online and look for, like, say, Biz Buy Sell or Craigslist, and look for people that are selling their business or have their business listed for sale. And then I would literally go walk into those doors of those businesses, you know, say it's a sort of mom and pop restaurant, or, you know, kind of like where we use line cook idea. And, you know, you may knock on 100 doors, but you could go up to one business owner and basically say, like, you know, go to business owner after business owner and say, I will work for you for free and work my tail off, but I want to eventually have a shot at buying your business. And, or you can work for a paycheck or whatever, but I think the way to do it is like, I want to apprentice for you, I want to learn your business. I want to be in a position where you want me to be the successor to your business. And what's beautiful about this is a lot of times if especially small business owners that like need a succession plan or want somebody to take over their business, they don't want just some Joe Schmo to come buy their business. They want someone that's going to come in and treat their business the way they want it to be treated, treat their customers the way they want it to be treated. If you can go apprentice from them, show your worth, even if it's hard and you're not making money, but you win that business owner's favor. There's things like seller financing, like having a business purchase agreement where you literally have zero money that you're putting into the business is actually fairly common. Most people don't realize that, but if I'm a business owner, like say I want to retire and I want to give it to a good successor, well, I mean, there's a lot of incentives for me to not have them give me $1 million or whatever for my business today, because then I owe taxes and all these things. Whereas like I could create an installment sale through seller financing. It's like, hey, I think you can have success with my business. Pay me over the next 10 years $100,000 a year with some interest, but you can pay from business revenues. And maybe if I'm a business owner, because I have faith in you, instead of a down payment, I'm just going to keep 10% ownership or something, just as some of my retirement savings. Like there's all sorts of ways to get creative, but ultimately it starts with winning that business owner's favor. And if you have nothing else to give but your hard work and effort, I think that's the easy sales pitch. Is like, hey, dude, I will come give you so much easy labor, free labor, and I will learn your business inside and out, dedicate myself to you, but I want this shot. You do it to me.
Yeah. Hard to win the trust and favor of someone to sell their business within 30 or 90 days, but I think that idea is awesome. And then once you're able to secure employment there, the challenge is always going to be when you fill out stuff to be put on payroll and you have no permanent address. Like, again, that's a blocker. So how do you go from having a little bit of money and having a job to getting a permanent address to put into their payroll system when you don't have a permanent address? I think that's still the piece that gets tricky, but you could, work on trying to get that and figure out a way to work through that.
Well, actually, and these days I think it's a little bit easier. In days past, and depending on the city, it's much harder. But these days, a lot of the bigger cities have like virtual addresses, which you can actually use as a legal address, where it's basically like it's not a PO box. It's like for lack of a better term, like a Regis or WeWork kind of setup where they quote unquote have an office, have a mailing address, legal address that you can essentially rent for, call it $30 a month. And again, kind of weigh in the $700, and if you need that, then you may have to make some cuts elsewhere. But that can be one of the incentives of you're going to approach a business owner, maybe one at a restaurant, make pretty good, get the free meal a day or whatever, makes a lot of sense. Or just get very comfortable eating a lot of ramen and spaghetti. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the big hurdles for sure. I think it's, again, depending on the city, overcomable with that type of system. But I mean, depending on how good you are at negotiating, and this is actually one of the cool things about that show. And we were talking about it right before starting this, like I'm not a huge fan of Grant Cardone. I think he's a scammy salesperson, but he was, for those of you who don't know him, he's like a real estate guru kind of guy. He was thrown in the show, and like what he did is basically his skill set is sales, right? And so he found an RV business and basically, pitched the RV owner, was like, hey, I would like to stay in one of your RVs. I will sell like stuff off your lot, commission free kind of thing. And basically RV guy was like, okay, here's one that's like just a house RV or whatever. You can stay in there. And like, he kept selling stuff for the RV owner. I think he was using that address as like his permanent residence. So you can't get creative. Like, and I think that's one of the mindset shifts with this kind of whole exercise is like, okay, here's this problem. There are definitely solutions that exist. Free solutions, like sales solutions, are there negotiation solutions, or is it like paying for a virtual address, which you can do, but then you have to spend time in the library. There's time involvement. There's money involvement, things like that too. So, yeah, what other thoughts or things would you do?
I think someone should just take this idea and make a YouTube channel and like legitimately just do just record normal people doing this versus millionaires and billionaires, and it'd be interesting to see. Because a lot of it would be, I think a lot of people would run into more issues that we probably aren't seeing, but it would be interesting to document that over time. To give people that have, not no chance at success, but that have had some, career success up to this point, but then throw them out there and just see, because I think it'd be a fascinating learning experience. So I like the concept of it.
Yeah, good business people are good, like, you know, I mean, I think even like if you took like some of the execs from the world that are, you know, kind of middle management, but like
A lot of middle management would just be toast in a week, most likely.
yeah, most likely. But I mean, I think there are a lot of super creative, ingenuitive middle managers out there that just get sort of crushed by the man. That if you open the situation would thrive, which is why I always think it's a fascinating exercise. But yeah, I mean, I think a YouTube channel with like just normies and that people that have some weight to their name would be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know if I tried to do this as a test just for fun, my wife would stab
90
me.
days. I'm not going to be around. Sorry. I'm going to go into Tulsa and just drop myself off and figure this out. I'll be back.
Yeah, I think my wife might murder me. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what other thoughts or ideas do you have around it? Those are the kind of, if I was in this situation, I think that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, I just think it takes time to build trust with any business owner to get to where you can secure that you are. I think are you on the path to being, the millionaire? And I think that could be the case. I don't think you would get there in that short of time, but you can create a scenario where you would get to that end result over a period of time, which is really interesting how quickly that can come together. So I think the lesson from this is, going back to the jokes we made at the beginning, if you want to be a small business owner or you want to own a business, you can be creative. And if you have some time and you are the W-2 person at the moment, being creative on asking questions and just talking to current business owners that are wanting to sell, you might be surprised at what you can develop with them if you build a personal relationship. So,
well, yeah, I think it boils down to like the biggest skill set, I think, to being a millionaire or billionaire, for that matter, is how much value you can create. So if you can create value for a business owner, yeah, that can turn into a very lucrative situation. I mean, same thing, like it's not just business. I mean, obviously that's sort of what we know and our bias, but like, I mean, there's real estate, there's, you name it, there's all these different assets and things that you could add value to people. Like, I mean, the way, let's use real estate as just a different example. You could use that time to go network with people that have money, and then just go look for spend all day in the library looking for real estate deals. You could do something similar of like basically brokering a deal for someone that you meet that has money, and just basically pitch the idea of like, hey, I found this multifamily property. I think if you buy it for this, I can do 30 days of free rehab for you. I'll do all the blood, sweat, and tears. You just write a check, and I can boost this value from this multifamily from 300 to 500,000. And you do cash out refinance, like then you have no investor, you get all your money back, but I want a 10% commission or whatever, for this property. I mean, I think a lot of people with money, they say like, okay, you can give me a ROI of 20% in 90 days. You present the right idea, present the right property, and I buy into it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that have money would jump at that, and that's how a lot of people get started in real estate. That are like more flippers and developers. That's the kind of model they do. If they don't have money, they make up for it with hustle and knowledge. So I mean, I think that's another way is like add value to somebody, go network, find people that have money, add value to their life through investments or through time or energy, and it's another way you can make money in fairly quick time. And that's kind of why I was pushing back on the McDonald's or like just get a job ideas. Like I think most Americans, probably the reason they don't go do this stuff on their own is because it takes time, energy, and hustle. If you don't have money, you have to. The alternatives, you give your time and energy, right? And so if you are working a 40-hour-a-week job to put food on the table, it becomes hard to give your time and energy. Whereas if you have, hey, I need to make this work, or I've got nothing to lose, and this is my one hope. Yeah, you're gonna put your heart and soul into it and do it right, I think. But obviously, if it backfires, you're screwed. But it's gonna get harder. But yeah, that's just gonna throw out some other ideas.
I don't really have anything else to add on that. It would be interesting to see, I think, like I said, more somewhat successful, quasi-successful people that are in just everyday walk of life of different kind of business owners thrown into that situation.
Yeah, that's the other area I kind of thought about on this is like outside the traditional asset classes and stuff that we're familiar with. I know this like sort of because we work with a lot of e-commerce and those type of business owners. I know there's a lot of people out there that can build businesses just through knowledge of like marketing or drop shipping or you name it with like the internet age. Be curious, like I would love to see someone that has like that skill set, if they can do that from build like a $1 million e-commerce business or like go build a marketing agency from working at the public library or something like that. I think that'd be a really cool concept. Like, hey, you can't use any of your own tools. You have to just go. And I don't know if that's possible or not. That's not my area, but I think that'd be a cool idea to see if that could take off. But yeah, long story short, there's lots of opportunity out there. But I think it's kind of a fun thought exercise of like, hey, if you're think for yourself, if you're thrown in that situation, how would you get creative? And I mean, I think you can use a lot of those thoughts and ideas to extrapolate to your own personal finances of like, hey, maybe I should be doing some of these things today. Like, go start that side hustle, do these things to get you out of the rat race. Yeah, nothing else. I just thought it was a cool show and cool thought experiment. So wanted to go down the rabbit hole, see where we're getting off.
Yeah, absolutely.
But any parting thoughts or wisdoms?
There's lots of opportunities, and I think building and fostering relationships and having conversations is worthwhile. So whatever you're interested in, go talk to people that are doing it. And there's a lot of baby boomers that have businesses they can't really sell or don't think they can sell or don't know who they want to sell it to. So I think there's tons of opportunity there. Yeah,
I think the moral of the story too with that is that there's all this opportunity we're talking about like is not exclusively for millionaires, billionaires and stuff. Like anybody can do this. Like literally you can do it off the street. So if you have these ambitions, desires, go do it. There's nothing stopping you. Go learn, go network, go do these things. The opportunities out there. One thing don't do as a public service announcement for clients. Don't go drive yourself off in the middle of the city for $700 to test this out unless you're trying to start a YouTube channel or whatever. But
start the YouTube channel and then send us the link.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's the moral there. So
but we're legally not advising this.
I'm not an attorney. I don't play one.
Yeah, but anyways, until next time, we hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week and appreciate you dropping in to listen to us ramble for a little bit. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.